cracked glass waves beside my hand, like it knows more than I have planned. The table shakes with every train that drags its arm through the rain. I gave up names I used to keep, left them buried where the shale runs deep. No sermon stayed, no blessing held, just smoking scars that never quill. The cold out west still smells of fire, and I climbed a little higher. Every bruise became a mark, every road turned after dark. I learned young not to ask for a light, just trust the shape of coming night. And if regret comes through the door, it finds me standing like before. No silver cross, no borrowed breath, just steady hands and room for death. I'm built from iron and whiskey smoke, from half-kept vows and words that broke. No saints above, no peace beneath, just a man who grins with tired teeth. I walk with storms, I sleep with doubt, and let the coal keep burning out. Whatever waits below the earth can measure what my silence is worth. The dog barked once outside at dawn, and all at once the sound was gone. The town still slept behind shut blinds, like everybody feared their minds. I lit one match and watched it lean against the dark and kerosene. Small flames, no more than men admit. They rise because they won't submit. There's powder dust beneath my nails and old receipts from county jails. A faded card, a bent upbringing, and all the weight such objects bring. The wolves I knew grew lean with time, still pacing close but staying blind. They learned my steps, they learned my stare, and now they circle thin night air. Give me thunder, give me rain, things that strike and leave a stain. I'm built from iron and whiskey smoke, from half-kept vows and words that broke. No saints above, no peace beneath, just a man who grins with tired teeth. I walk with storms, I sleep with doubt, and let the coal keep burning out. Whatever waits below the earth can measure what my silence is worth. If the sky splits wide tonight, let it carve me in its light. If the past comes back in flame, it will still arrive too late for shame. I have stood where mercy failed, heard the prayer and watched it pale. Still the dark and I agree, not all men were built to flee. Morning comes like something old, it's slow and hard along the road. The chair still leans where I once sat. The room remembers more than that. No policemen kneel, where the broken glass still remembers steel. No north, no sign, just a fading trail, a crooked moon in a pocket full of nails. The river sleeps under iron skin. Every stone I turn pulls a ghost within. No priest, no hymn, no hand to guide, only hollow wind and the earth beside. They want crowns, they want names, I want truth without the frame. There's hollow fire under what decays, a silent spark that outlives days. I don't bend, I don't slow, I was carved by the undertow. And hollow fire still burns below. My boots sink down in forgotten clay. Every scar I keep has a price to pay. They trade bright lights in a market loud. I keep my breath far beneath the crowd. The night grows deep when the cold arrives, but I learn young how the dark survives. No gold inside, no promise near, just a pulse of stone and the taste of fear. They chase light through painted skies. I trust dirt, it never lies. There's hollow fire under what decays, a silent spark that outlives days. I don't bend, I don't slow, I was carved by the undertow. And hollow fire still burns below. If you hear still against the earth, that's my name. Digging forward, no trumpet sounds, no flag above, just stubborn hands in a buried love. Some men fade when the wind turns black. Some lose faith and don't come back. But every hope I leave behind marks the shape of a restless mind. There's hollow fire beneath the cold. Not every treasure was made of gold. I don't run, I don't fold, even when the night gets old. That hollow fire still takes hold. So let it rain, let silence fall. I keep dark beyond the hills. Smoke bent sideways in the rain, like something trying not to breathe. The yard outside was slick with black, each puddle holding lightning cracks. And every window in the road lit for a second, then let go. The storm arrived without a shout, just pressure building all around. A low sound moving through the break, as if the sky itself turned thick. My coat pulled hard against the wind, the collar sharp beneath my chin. And every breath I gave the dark returned like sparks without a mark. Some storms begin before they form inside the chest, before the storm. Thunder through the hollow night, cuts the mills in fractured light. Every strike pulls all things near, names are buried, voices clear. Thunder through the hollow stays, wide awake through broken days. Rain came hard across the lane, running suit down the drain. The alley bags began to shake, thin enough to sound like ache. The dog barked once, then nothing more. A loose iron beat against the door, and all the city held that tone of something fierce but not yet shown. There are nights to wear the nose, exactly where own memory goes. How lightning finds the upper glass and makes old scenes return too fast. The trenches never fully leave, they settle low beneath the sleeve. Then storms arrive and stir them clean, sharper than they should have been. If I stand still, it finds me there. The sky knows well what lives in it. Thunder through the hollow night, cuts the mills in fractured light. Every strike pulls old things near, names are buried, voices clear. Thunder through the hollow stays, wide awake through broken days. If I hide, he climbs the wall. If I close my eyes, he knows them all. Some stones don't pass, they simply wait until the dark recalls your way. Mid-dawn the rain began to thin, but thunder still moved far within. The chimneys dripped, the rails grew pale. A train emerged beyond the veil, and still the sound stayed in my chest, like weather refusing rest. Because some nights don't end that day, they only change and stay. Thunder through the hollow night, still moving under weekend light. Every echo sharp and true, every cry returns to you. Thunder The storm moved east, the smoke stayed low, but something louder would not go. The alley lamp swung in the wind, casting gold on broken tin. The factory yard beyond the gate held that kind of hush that carries weight. Branches scraped the warehouse side like fingers something could not hide. And through the foggy midnight scene, low eyes appeared where light grew thin. Their shapes moved slow beyond the rail, half smoke, half hunger, thin and pale. Not beasts alone, but men who knew how silence sharpens what you do. A cigarette burned in my hand, its ember small against the land. Yet even that brief thread of red made shadows pause where fear had spread. No bell rang out, no voices came. The night stood still and learned my name. Wolves beneath the lantern glow, watching every move below. No prayer rising, no dawn in sight. Just breathe, held hard against the night. Wolves beneath the lantern glow, waiting where cold rivers flow. The oil inside the lamp ran low, its trembling gold turned faint and slow, but still enough to mark the air and show which dangers gathered there. A cold brushed past the loading wall, a whisper moved and not at all. The kind of sound that tells you plain some men arrive already trained. I did not step, I did not speak. Some answer sharpen when you're weak. The boots I wore knew gravel well, the same hard ground where others fell. And every scar beneath the cuff reminded me I'd learned enough to hear when threats choose not to shout, because the worst ones breathe it out. The lantern bent, the smoke climbed thin, still I stayed and let night begin. Walls beneath the lantern glow, watching every move below. No prayer rising, no dawn in sight. Just breathe, held hard against the night. Walls beneath the lantern glow, waiting where cold rivers flow. Small light shakes but does not die. Some men hold still and let danger decide. If teeth draw near or shadows part, the shapes withdrew back where the thicker blackness grew. The yard stayed cold, the rails stayed bare, but something still remained in air. Not victory, not fear, not pride, just that old calm I never hide, the kind that lingers after a thread, when night remembers not to forget. Wolves beneath the lantern glow, still moving where old instincts go. No church bell calls, no mercy bright, just one small flame against the night. Walls beneath the lantern glow, know exactly who walks slow. The lantern steadied in the breeze, and smoke climbed soft beyond the trees. I crossed old roads where the signs had peeled, where broken fences guarded empty fields. My boots wore thin on salt and stone, but every mile still felt like home. The noon hung still like a held-back word. The crows flew slow unheard. A chapel leaned against the sky, half of it standing, half asking why. You can wash your hands and change your name, but the earth recalls who fed the flame. When the dry wind speaks, it says it plain. No man outruns what his hands have stained. It rides your coat, it knows your frame. When the dry wind speaks, it calls your name. I passed through towns where windows stare, like all the people had once been there. A rusted bell hung over dust, still swinging slow without a trust. The graves nearby were cracked and low, some held flowers, some held snow, and every cross bent in a way like they had listened too long one day. Don't ask the dark to hide your trace. The ground sky turned iron red, like all the words I never said. And somewhere far screamed or cried, like old regret, still trapped inside. A boy once ran these roads with me, before the world took what would be. His laugh still hangs in cedar air. Sometimes I turn like he's still there. Night came slow but sharp as a wire. The hills went black, the stars climbed higher, and every step began to sound like truth returning. Through the ground. When the dry wind speaks, I let it stay. No use in turning my eyes away. What follows close won't fade with rain. When the dry wind speaks, it speaks my name. So let it ride across the plain. Let silence settle after pain. The dust will move, the dust will move. And truth arrives without a chain. Without a chain. The bottle waits beside the lamp, half gold, half shadow, half collage. The room smells faint of cold and rain, and things a man should not explain. I lost a promise years ago. Somewhere the factory whistles blow, and every deal I signed since then has worn my name a little thin. Fire near the grate burns low, still enough to let me know how many nights can sit this still before the dark begins to fill. My coat hangs heavy by the chair, like all the miles still folded there, and every scar beneath my sleeve has learned the shape of not to leave. No priest arrives, no bell will ring. Some men survive by hardening. I'm built of bone and whiskey air, of sharp and calm and vacant stare. No saint above, no peace beneath. Just breathe and learn to stay with grief. I walk with fate, I know its step, and keep my silence like a dead. A match burned red between my hands. The smallest flame still understands how quickly war becomes a mark, how little light can split the dark. Outside a car slows near the gate. Coated paws familiar way. The city never truly sleeps. It bargains low and buries deep. The drawer beside the desk stays shut. Inside, cold steel and old mistrust. Not pride, not threat, just one more truth. Stayed behind from heart of you. The wolves I knew learned not to chase. They saw too much inside my face. Because men who stand and do not flee often carry history. Give me rain, give me night. Things that strike without asking right. I'm built of bone and whiskey, air of sharp and calm and vague and stare. No saint above, no peace beneath. Just breathe and learn to stay with grief. I walk with fate, I know its step, and keep my silence like a dead. If morning comes, it comes too pale, like victory told through weaker tales. Some crowns are worn, some wounds remain. Some men learn how to speak through pain. First train sounds beyond the mill, thin enough to sharpen still. I pour one last inch in the glass and watch the amber barely last. No need for prayers, no need for blame. The dark already knows my name, and every road I ever chose still walks with me when daylight grows. I'm built of bone and whiskey breath, still close enough to bargain death. No saint returns, no debt undone, just smoke that lingers after dawn. And if I fall complete with iron lungs and tired feet. When the fire thins and lamps grow weak, the room keeps all I do not speak. And somewhere under morning rain, the city breathes my name again. Then again. I walk beyond the factory line, where broken rails forgot their shine. The ground was damp with cold and rain. A flagging field that kept old names. No map folding inside my core, just memory sharp enough to know which patch of earth had sunk too slow, as if it guarded what below. What stayed, truth grows quiet but never fades. Gold beneath ashes waits unseen, under places cold and mean. No church bell near, no mercy told, just earth made hard around old gold. I don't retreat, I don't unfold. Some truths arrive already cold. My hands were black before the dawn, the nails lined dark, the skin half torn. The coat I wore held smoking frost like every mile and what it cost. Some men sell faith and clean the rooms. I trust what lingers under gloom, because the ground beneath this town still knows who rose and who went down. A watch chain surface first in mud, then button stiff with dried old blood. A broken ring, a pocket blade, half swallowed where the years had laid. No treasure shines the way they claim. Most buried things return with blame, and every object pulled to where brought some forgotten witness there. The wind moved low, the rail stayed still. Some graves are shallow by their will. Gold beneath ashes waits unseen, under places cold and mean. No church bell near, no mercy told, just earth made hard around old gold. I don't retreat, I don't unfold. Some truths arrive already cold. If you hear steel against the ground where no one else would stay around, that rhythm means I'm still below, pulling names from very slow. Near dawn the smoke returned again, the mills awoke like iron men. The city breathed above my back while I still work the deeper black, because some wealth is never bright, it sleeps beneath forgotten night. And every scar I ever wore taught what digging still is for. Gold beneath ashes, dark and old. Not every fortune glitters gold. Some things survive by staying cold, by waiting years to finally show. And when the ground gives up its hold, it speaks in ash before in gold. The shovel stopped, the morning came, but dirt still answered to my name. train rolled past at 1:30. Its iron cried like a loaded gun. Rain climbed slow along the glass like every year. I let night pass, your chair still waits beside the fire, untouched, exact, a quiet while. And every room inside this house still knows the shape of what went out. I kept your gloves inside the drawer, though I don't open it much anymore. The scent is gone, the cloth turned cold like something memory cannot hold. Outside the factory spit their smoke, the city breathes, the engines choke, and all of Birmingham below moves like it never learned to slow. But loss arrives without a sound. It sits first down before you're found. There's no grave for love when it dies this way. No clean earth, no prayer, no words to say. It stays like smoke inside the lungs, like war that ends but still is sung. I wear my suit, I tie my hands and rule a room that understands that some men stand and still collapse, quiet as steel between the cracks. A whiskey line across the wood marks the place your glass once stood. I pour but never raise it high. Some habits live, some reasons die. A car pulls up beyond the gate, a coded knock, the sound of weight. They wait for orders, numbers, names, as if the dark still plays my game. I speak because the room requires the tone of men who still on fire. But every word leaves something thin, a little less than what has been. Because I learned in muddy ground that shells make one kind of sound, and losing you taught something worse. How silence sharpens every curse. No bell will ring, no saint appears. Some grief survives by growing years. There's no grave for love when it dies this way. No clean earth, no prayer, no words to say. It stays like smoke inside the lungs, like war that ends but still is sung. I wear my suit, I hold my frame, but every mirror knows the name of what was taken. What remains, a post still dressed in tailored pain. If I could trade the mills, the gold, the deals I signed, the power I hold for one more night, before that day I'd burn this empire anyway. Dawn leaks pale through factory steam, the kind of light that hurts to see. A razor lies beside the sink, a cigarette burns down to ink, and in the glass above the tie I practice one more borrowed smile. Because the city asks for men who walk through ruin like it's wind. There's no grave for love when it dies this way. It follows close through every day, in every hall, in every deal, in every wound that does not heal. No mercy comes, no past undone, just smoke that lingers after dawn. And all the things I could not save still stand beside me, never grave. hard stone, cold enough to cut the bone. The shadow leaned beside the rail, still as smoke and twice as pale. I wore my name through mud and wire, longing for these rooms and fire, and every title stitched in gold only made the silence cold. The walls stood tall, the lamps burned low, the trenches never truly go. They lived beneath the tattered line, shaking nerves and measured time. Some nights I hear the motor start inside the chambers of my heart, though all outside remains complete, polished floors beneath my feet. Every crown I've ever known sat like iron on the bone. Every throne is forged from pain, built to hold but not explain. Iron crown against my head keeps alive what war left dead. No sleep near, no mercy found, just old artillery underground. Streets obey, but as their cost, every order marks what's lost. The car arrives beyond the gate, a cody knock, familiar way. The city calls me by command, but never sees a shaking hand that still remembers winter ground and bodies buried without sound. Power cuts in slower ways than bullets crossing younger days. It leaves no smoke, it leaves no flame, yet still it brands a man the same. The revolver waits inside the desk, cold and patient, iron press, not for threat and not for show, just because. The suit sat sharp against my frame, dark enough to hide her name. Rain had polished all the street until the lamps looked half complete. Each step I took along the hall returned too slowly from the wall, as if the marble underneath could hear the weight beneath my teeth. tightened hands of walls no room could understand. A silver tray passed by in light, champagne moving pale and bright. Yet every glass that crossed my view looked like a mirror cut in two. Elegance can hold a line, but never solving what stays inside. Velvet after midnight falls, soft across these painted walls. Every smile arrives rehearsed, every silence feels well versed. Velvet after midnight stays, hiding old and sharper days. Candle flame, 100 voices, none the same. Laughter moved from group to group, like something trained to fill a room. A violin near the upper stair trembled thin through polished air, and still among the crystal sound I felt less present than the ground. A woman turned in silver thread, a feathered glove, a tilted head. The chandeliers above her burn like all the things I never learned to keep untouched by what had been. The trenches still beneath the skin, because no velvet stitched at night can cover fully what shapes I. Some scars stay dressed but never sleep. Some walls grow quiet, yet settle deep. Velvet after midnight falls, soft across these painted walls. Every smile arrives rehearsed, every silence feels well versed. Velvet after midnight stays, hiding old and sharper days. If grace must crack, let candles know that shadows often wear it slow. A polished room, a lowered tone still cannot make a man feel home. Near dawn, the final dancers thin, the windows blurred without a wind. The orchestra reduced to air, and half-lit smoke above the stair. I straightened cuffs, adjusted breath, and left before the room could guess that underneath the tailored line, the dark had never left behind. Velvet after midnight bands, but never truly ever meant. Every gesture leaves a trace of wars concealed by practiced grace. Velvet after midnight lies beautiful beneath tired eyes. Silence dressed the empty hole.